Hello class, hope you have understood the first part of the lesson where we have studied about the habitat and adaptation. We have already studied about living components, that is biotic, and non-living components, that is abiotic components. So let us continue the lesson. A journey through different habitats. Now we shall continue studying terrestrial habitats where we will be studying about deserts, mountain regions and grasslands. Some terrestrial habitats. Coming to desert, we have already discussed about the adaptations of camels found in desert. So there are desert animals like rats and snakes which do not have long legs like camels. So how will they adapt to the heat of the desert? So what they do is they stay away from the intense heat during the day. During the day, they will not come out of the burrows. They stay in burrows deep inside the sand and they will not come out during the day. Only they come out at night when it is cooler in search of food. To know more about the plants of the desert plants lose very little water through transpiration. Transpiration is a process where the plants leave water in the form of droplets. They lose water from the body in the form of droplets. This process is known as transpiration. So in case of desert plants, they lose very little water through transpiration. The leaves in desert plants are either absent or very small, or they are in the form of spines. Why is that? In order to reduce the loss of water from the leaves through transpiration, the leaves are modified into spines, or either they are absent or very small. The leaf-like structures, what you see in the cactus, is not exactly the leaves. Of course, it is the stem of the plant. It is not the leaf, it is the stem of the plant, modified stem of the plant. Whereas the leaves are modified into spines in case of cactus. Photosynthesis will take place in the stem of these cactus plants. The stem is covered with thick waxy layer which help to retain water in the tissues of cacti. Most desert plants have roots that go deep inside the soil for absorbing water. The roots of the plants will go inside the soil, deep inside the soil, in order to absorb the water from the soil. Like this, the plant will adapt itself in the desert region. Mountain regions. These habitats are normally very cold and windy also. In some areas of mountain regions, there may be snowfall taking place in winter season. Of course, large varieties of plants and animals can be seen in the mountain regions. Have you all visited the mountain regions? Okay, let us study about the plants or the trees growing there. So, trees are adapted to conditions prevailing in those habitats. The trees are normally cone shaped, okay, having sloping branches. The leaves are not broad, they are needle like, very thin and they are sharp, needle like leaves. And this feature help the rainwater and snow to slide off easily. Whenever rain falls or snow falls on the trees, it will slide off from the trees to the ground easily because of the presence of sloping branches as well as needle like leaves. The animals living in mountain region have adapted themselves to the extreme cold climate. Okay, these animals have thick fur to protect them from cold. Yaks have long hair to keep them warm. Snow leopard has thick fur on its body. Even in the feet and toes also they have fur which protects them from cold when it walks on the snow. The mountain goat has strong hooves for running up the rocky slopes of the mountains. Okay, these mountain goats can run quickly as fast as possible because of the strong hooves on the foot. The grassland habitat. So, a lion lives in a forest or a grassland, and it is a strong animal that can hunt and kill other animals, other herbivorous animals like the deer. It is light brown in color. So, if you look at the eyes of the lion, it has got very sharp eyes in front of the face, which allows it to have a correct idea about the location of its prey. On the other hand, the lions have long claws on their front legs that can withdraw inside the toes. In grassland, we can see the animals like herbivores and the carnivores also. So, all the carnivores animals will eat the herbivorous animals. So, for a deer, lion and tiger or the carnivorous animals will become the predators, and for the carnivorous animals, these deer or some other herbivorous animal become the prey. Okay, now we have understood about the predators and prey. Okay, so that is what is going on in the nature, where one organism becomes the food for another organism. There is predator as well as prey in the nature. Now, to continue the lesson, we were studying about the lion. Now, let us study about the deer. So, deer is another animal that lives in the forest and the grassland. It has strong teeth to chew the hard parts of the plants, even the stem of the plant also. A deer needs to know about the presence of predators like lion. So, in order to run away from them and not become their prey, it has long ears, okay, to hear the movements of the predators. The eyes on the sides of its head allow it to look in all directions. The speed of the deer helps them to run away from the predators. Some aquatic habitats. Oceans are also examples for aquatic habitat. We have already discussed about the fish that lives in water, and it has got streamlined body which enables it to move or swim in water easily. But there are some animals like squids and octopus which do not have streamlined body. Then how will they move in water? These squids and octopus, what they do is they stay in the deeper layer of the oceans or sea. They stay near the seabed and catch the prey that moves towards them. Whenever some prey comes near them, the octopus or squids move towards their prey and catch their prey. When they move in water, they make their body shapes like streamlined. So it can move in water. These animals also have gills to help them to use oxygen that is dissolved in water. Some animals like whales and dolphins do not have gills. Then how do they breathe? They breathe in air through nostrils or blowholes that are present on the upper parts of their heads. There is a small hole like structure or nostrils or blowholes on the upper part of their head, so they breathe air through these blowholes or nostrils. This allows them to breathe in air when they swim near the surface of water. Usually, these animals can stay inside the water for a longer time, for longer duration without breathing. They can stay inside the water for a long time. What they do is they come out to the surface from time to time and breathe air. Now let us study about the ponds and lakes which belong to aquatic habitat only. So if you study about the plants that live in ponds and lakes, we can see that their roots are very small. Some of the plants have their roots fixed in the soil below the water. In terrestrial plants, roots normally play a very important role in the absorption of nutrients and water from the soil. But in case of aquatic plants, roots are much reduced in size, that means very small in size, and their main function is to hold the plant in a place. The stems of these plant are long and hollow and they are very light also. The stems grow up to the surface of water and the leaves and the flowers float on the surface of water. Some aquatic plants are submerged. Can you see the submerged plants which is found inside the water? Okay, all parts of such plants are underwater. Some of these plants have narrow and thin ribbon like leaves. Their leaves are very thin or ribbon like. These can bend in the flowing water. In some submerged plants, leaves are often highly divided, through which the water can easily flow without damaging them. Okay. Frogs usually live in ponds. Frogs can stay both inside the water as well as move on land. So only they are called as amphibians. These frogs have strong back legs that help them in leaping and catching their prey. They have webbed feet which help them swim in water.